Picture this. You have been investing for 3 years. Every month, without fail, you move money out of your paycheck and into your brokerage account before you can talk yourself out of it. You have read enough to know that index funds are the move. You are not gambling on individual stocks. You are doing everything right. You open your portfolio on a Tuesday afternoon, and the number staring back at you is $54,000. And you feel almost nothing. Not because $54,000 isn't real money. It is. But something about it doesn't feel like the version of investing you were sold. You expected to feel the momentum by now. You expected it to feel like something was happening. Instead, it feels like you have been running hard and moved about 3 feet. Here is what nobody told you. That feeling is not a sign that investing isn't working. It is a sign that you are exactly where the math gets interesting. Because the first $100,000 is unlike every dollar that comes after it. The math on the other side of that number is a completely different equation. And by the end of this video, you will understand why the people who quit at $80,000 made the most expensive financial decision of their lives without ever realizing it. If this is the kind of thing you want to understand about money, the mechanics most people never get explained to them, hit subscribe. Let's get into it. Here's the thing about compound interest that nobody explains correctly. Everyone tells you it is powerful. Nobody tells you it is front-loaded with frustration. In the early years, compound interest is technically working. The math is running. But the numbers it produces feel insignificant because you are working with a small base. If you have $10,000 invested and the market returns 8% this year, you made $800. That is real, but it is also less than 1 month of contributions for most people actively building wealth. Your own effort is outrunning the math at this stage, and that makes the math feel useless. At $30,000, an 8% return gives you $2,400, still smaller than what you are putting in manually most months. The math is still in the background, still running. Still quiet. At $75,000, an 8% return gives you $6,000. Now we are talking. That is real money appearing in your account that you did not earn at work, but it still feels like a supporting character in your financial story. You are still the main driver. Then you cross $100,000. An 8% return on $100,000 is $8,000. In 1 year. Without you doing a single additional thing, without an extra shift, without a side hustle, without a negotiation. The market did that. Your past decisions did that. And here is the part that changes everything. That $8,000 is now also invested. It compounds next year and the year after. Your money has started doing a meaningful share of the work that you used to have to do yourself. That is the crossing point. That is why $100,000 feels different, not because of what the number looks like in your account, because of what it does while you sleep. Let's talk about timeline compression because this is where the math goes from interesting to actually kind of unbelievable. Assume you are investing $1,000 per month and earning an average 8% annual return. Getting to your first $100,000 takes roughly 7 years. 7 years of discipline, 7 years of moving money before lifestyle inflation can eat it, 7 years of watching the number grow slower than you wanted. That is the hardest stretch in investing, not because of the money, because of the patience. Your second $100,000 does not take another 7 years. It takes about 4, same contributions, same market, but now your existing money is doing more of the lifting. The gap between what you put in and what the portfolio generates is closing fast. Your third $100,000 takes roughly 3 years. By the time you're working toward your fourth and fifth $100,000, your portfolio is generating returns that rival or exceed your monthly contributions. The math has flipped. You are no longer the primary engine of your own wealth. Your money is. You became a passenger in the best possible way. This is what people mean when they talk about reaching escape velocity with investing. It is not a metaphor. It is arithmetic. And the entry point for that arithmetic is $100,000. Now here is the part most financial content skips entirely. The psychological shift. Before $100,000, your portfolio is savings with a better return. You think of it as money you have set aside. It is yours, but it feels fragile. A bad market year feels like a loss. A dip feels personal. You're emotionally attached to every dollar in there because every dollar in there cost you something real, a sacrifice, a skipped purchase, a deliberate choice. After $100,000, something changes in how you relate to the number. The portfolio starts feeling less like a savings account and more like a separate financial entity that works alongside you. When the market drops 15%, your reaction shifts. Before $100,000, a 15% drop on $60,000 means you lost $9,000, and that feels devastating. After $100,000, a 15% drop is also an 8% return year waiting to happen on the recovery. You start thinking in cycles instead of moments. That shift is worth more than most people realize. It also changes your relationship with your job. Before $100,000, you need your income to survive. Full stop. You have no meaningful financial cushion outside of your emergency fund. Your employer has significant leverage over your life simply because you cannot afford to walk away. After $100,000 invested, that dynamic starts to shift. Not because $100,000 is enough to retire on. It is not. But it is enough to change the conversation you have with yourself about risk. Suddenly, you are more willing to ask for the raise, more willing to leave the bad situation, more willing to take the career bet that has a higher ceiling because the floor beneath you just got noticeably higher. The portfolio becomes a negotiating partner in your own life. That is not a small thing. That is a fundamental change in how much power you have over your own decisions. So what do you actually do with all of this? First, if you are not at $100,000 yet, the only thing that matters is getting there. Not optimizing, not switching funds, not trying to time the market. Getting there. Every month you delay the crossing point, you delay the compression, you delay the moment the math starts pulling its own weight. Increase your contribution rate whenever you possibly can. Automate it so the decision never gets made twice. Second, when you hit $100,000, do not celebrate by spending it. Do not rebalance into something more conservative because now you have real money and it feels scary to lose it. The worst financial decision most people make at this milestone is suddenly becoming risk-averse. Right at the moment the math most rewards staying the course. Your $100,000 needs time and compounding. What it does not need is you protecting it from the exact process that made it worth having. Third, track your portfolio's annual return in dollar terms, not just percentages. Once you cross $100,000, seeing that your portfolio generated $9,000 last year is a different psychological experience than seeing it returned 9%. The dollar figure is what makes the compounding feel real. It is what makes you understand that the math is working even in years where you feel like you are not doing enough. Here's the truth about $100,000 that the investing world does a bad job of communicating. It is not a destination. It does not mean you made it. It does not mean the hard part is over. What it means is that the math has permanently changed in your favor. The equation you have been fighting against for years, where your effort outpaces your returns, has finally flipped. Your money is now a real partner in building your future instead of a number you are manually dragging upward every month. The people who quit before they get there will never know what that feels like. They will look at their $70,000 or $85,000 and decide it is not working fast enough and move the money into something else, or spend it, or simply stop. And they will spend the rest of their financial lives on the wrong side of the crossing point. You do not have to be one of them. The math is already running. The compounding is already happening. The only question is whether you will still be here when it starts to feel like it.